Oh, great.
Do you have a birthday?
Yeah. The sale's Sunday. Excuse me. So Brad Idzik, our receivers coach, he messed up and closed on his house first. So he inherited me, my wife, our 4 kids, and our dog. So we're all bunked up out there in town and country right now. But we had a great time on Sunday. His parents are from here, John and Carol Idzik. So we went out they live on Lake Tarpon. So we had birthday celebration out there, cake, on a pontoon, little fishing. It was a great day. So taking advantage.
Yeah. Any alligators?
Yes, a couple, 2 medium-sized ones.
Son, very happy about that.
And then a baby one about the size of my arm that was, just sunbathing a little bit. So, again, another chance for us to reinforce to our kids, stay away from the shoreline. So, but yeah, enjoying it.
So, Dave, you can tell us about the playbook in terms of is that completed in your mind from putting it together and assembling it, and obviously you're going to be piecemealing it to the guys here throughout the ATAs and all that, but where does it stand in terms of your playbook creation? Yeah,
so we're really far away from the variations of the different plays, and what we try to focus on is we're going through our second iteration of the core. So our core runs, core protections, core pass concepts, they've gotten like the simplest, most vanilla formation possible, with just some of the things I know we're going to call. And that's the thing that as a coaching staff we talked about was, all right, before I introduce all these concepts to you, let me prove it to you that they worked. And so I was going through it, and some things that we considered our babies in Seattle, we called it twice in 3 years. So I couldn't really justify some of those. But yeah, we're pretty far away from having the full complement. But again, the whole thought process coming into this offseason was I just have to keep reminding myself, don't rush it. Don't rush anything. And like the litmus test is really the offensive line, and I've gotten really good feedback from the guys where they're saying they don't feel overtaxed right now. They feel like they have a good command of what we're doing. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
What have been your impressions of kind of getting to know some of the guys, the unique pieces, the unique characters that you're going to be working with?
Yeah, first impression is just eager. They're very hungry. I think some of that's natural, too, when you have a shift. So while I was in Seattle, we had 4 different coordinators. And every time a new coordinator came in, there was this natural, excitement from the staff, from the players, to just say something new toy. So that's kind of been the vibe I've been getting from the players. And just keeping my ear to the ground with Paroli and the strength staff, whether it's Bobby in the training room, what are you guys hearing from the guys? Because they talk to them. And it's been all positive. They're excited about just the marriage of the system. Like we talked about, that first interview was marrying the run and the pass, and then just having a real good core that guys can sink their teeth into. And so, Chris Godwin has been such an encourager, really positive, just supporting us, letting us know, I got you, this is great. And then for me, I just asked them, the veteran guys who've been around mostly is, hey, I get better when you tell me what's giving you angst. If there's something where there's a little bit of gray area or you're not sure what to do here, that's where we need work. So we've had a good line of communication that way.
Can we talk about the quarterback situation for a second?
Sure.
It sounds great to say, we're going to have a competition.
Yeah.
That's what the NFL is. That's what football is from time immemorial, right?
Right.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
Kyle Trask has been here for 2 years.
Right.
You don't know him.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of guys in the building do.
Right.
Okay. Different offense, granted. Baker Mayfield has played a whole lot of football.
Oh, yeah.
At a high level.
Yeah.
Now, the last year, 4 teams, right? So there's that.
Yeah.
Would it benefit any team to as quickly as possible say, that's our starter? I'm sorry. We can, it sounds good.
Yeah.
A little like PR sometimes.
Yeah.
But we know who and let's get to that right now.
Right.
Instead of, hey, let's split the reps and it's a true competition.
Right.
I know that sounds great, but is it really the best interest of the team and what you're going to do in September, which is what this is really about?
Yeah, I think philosophically, for me, coming from Seattle, best guy gets the job. So you saw it happen last year, firsthand. It was Geno Smith, it was Drew Lock, and it was a true competition. And you got a guy who hadn't played in a long time. You got a guy who had some pretty bad experiences in the recent past with Drew. And so for me, it's a win-win when you create a competition. Here's why. If you name a starter today, the backup guy starts thinking like a backup, okay? But if you say, this is a competition, we're going to allow us to go into the preseason, let them show us they can manage to get us into the right play, they can take care of the ball. That's going to be the determining factor, really, is who takes care of the ball. And then the bonus is, now who pushes it down the field? But if we can play great defense, run it, and take care of the ball, we're going to be a great team. So the guy who can show that is going to win the job. And so for me, what I end up getting out of Drew and Gino is two guys who had to mentally put themselves in a place where I'm going to be the starter this year. They trained that way all the way through. The last game in the preseason, we're in Dallas. And Drew's playing for his job. Gino's playing for his job. They both know that. Game 1, I got a starter in Gino, and I got a backup who's been thinking he's a starter for 6 months. Whoever won the job was going to be our starter, but the other guy was going to bring so much more value and confidence to our room. And it was that, so that kind of has been our philosophy, and I would like to take it as far as I can. But of course, the head coach, the general manager, we're going to all have discussions, and they'll, like I told Jason early on, said, I will coach the crap out of whoever you give me and whoever we decide to, but I'll have them both ready.
But in this instance, like you mentioned Gino and Drew.
Yeah.
Gino had not really been a starter for a while. Drew kind of up and down. They were a little bit equal in terms of like where they were in their football careers. In this one guy has played a whole hell of a lot more than the other. Attempted 4 passes, and the people in this building should know him pretty well by now. So it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, there's a big variance in terms of like who they are and what they've accomplished.
Yeah. I think circumstantially, if Kyle would have had more opportunities, I'd love to see what would have happened with those. So I don't think we need to rush to make any decisions, is my opinion. Wait as long as you can, as long as possible. Our offense and defense, they don't need us to name a starter. Trust me. We got studs up front on the offensive line, veteran presence. We got veteran presence at the wide receiver position. We got a really good group of backs there. So, and the defense is fantastic. And the way we're building it, even with the draft, this is not a team that's like, we got to know who this starter is going to be so that we can move forward and figure out who we're going to be. I don't think so. I think the way that we're going to play it, I'll have both guys ready to be really, really successful and efficient in what we're doing.
You mentioned offensive line kind of as a barometer for how things are being
Yeah.
in. You have a much different line than there was a year ago, and then you probably have three spots up for grabs. A lot of young, movable pieces. How do you feel about the group you have, not the starting 5, but just the entire line you have right now?
I'm excited about it. Adding Matt Filer. When you see Tristan and Matt lined up on the left side, and when Jensen was here, those 3 guys next to each other, it's pretty impressive, that side of it. And then the depth of guys who have had to play, you had Hainsey who had to play. You got Nick Leverett, who's played as a starter for us. Like, we have so much depth and experience. Luke getting a shot to get back at right tackle, and it's early, to make any decisions on what all is going to happen. But I feel really encouraged with the guys we have. And then, of course, I didn't even mention Cody Mock and just the explosiveness and athleticism he has when he gets in there, too. So I'm excited about the group and knowing what we want to do offensively. I think we're going to have a really great shot at doing that.
We just talked about quarterbacks and the timetable taking as far as you possibly can.
Yeah.
At the same time, offensive line, that's 5 guys that have to be a unit. They can
Right.
gel.
Right.
I would think that you probably need to know who those starters are going to be maybe a little bit sooner because of the continuity that they have to play with. In your mind, where do you want or need to be with your starting offensive line?
Yeah.
Is it after the first preseason game, the second? What's the ideal time reference for you with your line?
I don't know how to answer that really. Honestly, every year that I've been in the NFL for 13 years, we've played with at least 6 different combinations of linemen. And guys you thought you were going to have, this guard's out for a couple weeks and this guy's got to play. The center's out, so he's got to move in. He goes there. You lose one of your tackles, the guard's got to play. There's just so many, the fortunate teams who play 17 plus games with the same offensive line. Like I don't know how many times that's happened. You know, I know Philly's O-line was pretty healthy this year. They were fantastic. And you're so fortunate when that happens. But I think we got to train them all. We got to make sure the guards are getting center work, and just so we have all those options. And so yeah, I don't have a clear timetable for that really.
What are you seeing? I know it's early, but what are you seeing from Baker and also Kyle?
So from Baker, what's cool about him is he's got a ton of game experience. So there's a lot of conversations happening about things that he did or saw or did this in games. With Kyle, what's cool is you do see, just talking about being around Tom for 2 years, you see his tempo and control and his drop mimicking a guy that was the greatest of all time. And it's like, okay, he's got a great starting point. You know, if you were going to play behind somebody, like who better than in that frame, that 6'5" frame, you know? And so and then honestly, like the guys are both plenty smart enough to handle any of our alerts or our checks, getting us to the right types of plays. So I've seen that. And then I also see two guys where I walk into the room in the mornings, they're already in there. They're talking. They got their books out. They're watching a game. So they're already cohesive in that nature. They just kind of are doing really well together. You know, we just signed John Walford too, which is a huge get for me because he walks in. He's the smartest guy in the room day one. He's really dialed in. Excited about the opportunity. Just moved to Miami, so he's like couldn't be a better situation for he and his wife. And so I'm excited for him to bring that value. He's played games, you know, and he really knows our system. There's a lot of good carryover from what they did at the Rams to what we were doing the last 2 years in Seattle. So it's a great room.
One more. Do you anticipate still signing another quarterback, a veteran? I know
think so.
Jason had mentioned prior maybe there would be, and you would need 4 or 5 for camp or no?
I'm good with 3. We've done 3. We've done 4. It just all depended on, you know, if there was a rookie or some type of developmental prospect from the quarterback position that we were excited about. That's when you potentially carry 4. But if you carry 4 into the season, a lot of times the 4th guy is not going to get very many reps.
In the quarterback position in the previous system, you know, Bruce Arians was famous for having big, tall pocket passers.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of his prototype. You've had some experience with Gino out there with 6'3", 6'4", Russell
Yeah.
Wilson, 6 foot.
Yeah.
Does size matter for you in this game? Because you've got a big, tall guy like
Yeah.
Kyle Trask and a 6'1" guy in Baker and John Wolford.
Doesn't matter. No, because I've had the experience. Even going back to junior college, I had a 5'11" quarterback. I had a 6'6" quarterback. You know, can the guy play catch? Can he get us to the right play, and can he play catch? You pick up a Nerf ball and throw it to my 11-year-old right now, put it on the money. That's all that matters. So the decision making, you know. But having the experience of being with Russ, I do have 2 shorter quarterbacks, you know, for NFL standards. So I know how to operate within those issues as well. To try to get them concepts where they have better vision and different things. So,
from the standpoint of his skill set, how does Baker fit into this offense? Is it his mobility, his arm? What did you like about him when the Bucs signed him?
I just like his presence. He just has such a great swag. You know, he steps into the huddle, he belongs. He comes right in here, he'll light up the room. You know, he's a good dude, and he just knows how to connect with people. That's what I've been most excited. And then, of course, like the game's never too big for him. The bullets start flying, and he stays cool, you know. And so I love that about him. And as far as our system's pretty friendly in terms of, you know, who the player is and what type of athlete they are, because we do have so many different ways to get to the right play. It ends up becoming pretty friendly for any type of quarterback. Now, what I love, the quarterback to be the fastest guy on the field and to be a dynamic, you know, playmaker out of the pocket and all that stuff, absolutely. You know, that's a dream because when they do take off to scramble, they just get more yards. But, yeah, we don't necessarily have a physical mold for that.
What do you make of Baker's path this past year where he bounced around a number
Yeah.
of different teams, and it really wasn't until he got to the Rams where it seemed like things kind of clicked for him. He had some success in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Just what do you make of that, where, you know, it didn't work out with some teams, and
Yeah.
I know the hope is that it works out here.
What I felt from him, and when we first signed him, he came into my office and we sat for a couple hours, and the biggest message that he was sending to me was, you know, I just learned to let go and to just be ready for whatever opportunity. Because he thought it was going to be Carolina. Here we go. I'm going to be here. And then Carolina said no. Cleveland said no. You know, he goes to the Rams, and the Rams were happy to have him at that time, but then they eventually say no because they have Stafford. So he's been told no enough times where I can feel the hunger that he has for wanting to reestablish himself as a starter and to really have the type of career he envisioned, that the Browns envisioned for him, taking him number 1 overall. But there is something in him right now where there's like this release where he's like, I know what I got to do today. That's good enough. And so I can feel that from him. It's not an anger or any type of resentment for what happened. It's more like, look at this cool opportunity. So.
And to that
Couple
effect,
more, please.
when a guy, maybe it doesn't work out and a guy hears no a number of different times, what is key to being able to get that player at a position that obviously you have to have an ego, a certain degree of an ego to play?
Yeah.
Like what is key to kind of making that transition from, you know, maybe that starting guy to being a backup? Because you've seen some guys that have, you know, been career backups. You know, they were starters previously, but then they were, you know, they moved on to backup roles. What's kind of key to making that mental transition?
Depth of character, for sure. And just, you know, one of the things that I try to share with them is you got to have high ground for hard days. And so if this is your whole life, football is your whole life, and it gets taken away, it takes your identity and it takes everything else. So I think that the place he's in right now, he's going to compete his butt off, you know. And if it doesn't work out, I know that he's going to be available there to help the Bucs win in whatever capacity that would be. And I could say the same for Kyle, obviously, and John's been in that role, you know. But I think that it's just investing in who you are and knowing that this game is so important. This game is everything to us, but it ain't the whole thing, you know. And so I feel like he's in that place, and that doesn't mean he's not going to go for it and give us 100% when he's out there.
Dave, real quick before you go, could you talk to us about the rookies that you got on offense? Just
Yeah.
real quick, hitting on
Sure.
you know, the tight end, the receiver,
Yeah.
the offensive lineman. So.
Yeah, so Cody Mock, one of my favorite players in the draft. Just his tenacity in the run game, his athleticism. He truly could play all 5 spots on the offensive line. He's got that kind of talent. He lacks a little bit of that, you know, huge size element that you really want for some of the positions, but he's so versatile. He's a fantastic player. Payne Durham, guy we really loved through the process. Huge frame, great catch radius. Most tight ends in the NFL are covered, okay, except for Kelsey, Kittle, Raiders guy, what's his name? Waller. A couple of those guys who really can run away and separate. Everybody else is going to be covered. It's the guys who have those subtle things at the top. He's got that. So we're really excited about that. And then Trey Palmer, fantastic get for us in our system. We would target guys like Trey. Big, strong, and fast. He'll contribute on teams. He'll stretch the field. He'll play behind one of 2 studs, and he's going to learn from them. We just love getting our hands on that physical type of prospect. And the same with Raheem Jarrett. Just big, physical, you know, really intelligent, really excited to see what he does. Also, who am I missing? Sean Tucker from Syracuse. Fantastic runner. Reminds me of Thomas Rawls, who we got in the 7th round in Seattle. Played great for us for a while, but has that physical run style that we loved, that we're going to love here. He's going to bring a little punch and attitude, too, to what we do. See, who else am I missing here?
Any other undrafted guys?
What about Kate Warner, his dad?
Oh, yeah, fantastic, right? So, I mean, who's caught more balls than him? So, Dad's a former quarterback, and we're excited to get him in here and let him compete, you know, with the rest of the group.
Okay, thank you. Have a good one on that.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
All right, good to see y'all.